that Satan actually had the nerve to say to himself, I want to be as God. I want to ascend up there and be like God. There is a ruler of the powers of the air, as it says in Ephesians 2:2. What air? Up there. The sky. Up there. All the demons are gathered up there in the air. Maybe millions, hundreds of thousands. Now the air is above us. Maybe a few hundred miles, I'm not sure. Look, they're there. What do you think they're doing? Wreaking their cruel will on mankind. So what else are they doing? Looking at you. Looking at you. Now I'm not the only one who says this. Old scholastic men of God say these things. I'm not saying them alone. I would never imagine these kind of things, everything, all by myself, except if it weren't written in the Bibles and the commentaries. Yes, the Lord gives me a lot of things that aren't in the Bibles or commentaries, but nothing drastic like this. Now, this translation, which is Roman Catholic, CPDV, says he's a ruler of the power of this sky. Listen to the different translation. These are scholars. They might give you wrong translation sometimes, but they do the best they can in the main, except in the King James Version. The best they could do in that was to do evil, especially the Old Testament, even the New Testament. But not these people. CPDV, the ruler of the powers of this sky. EBR, of the authority of the air. And the Geneva, which is what a lot of Americans have followed. The prince of the power of the air, the prince that rules in the air, up there. Net translation, which is the most modern and which is a good translation, very good indeed, done by scores and scores of scholars from different parts of the world, all conferring. Scholars, not church people, scholars. It says the kingdom of the air, the ruler of authority in the air above us. So if there is a ruler of authority in the air above us, who is his authority over? You and me, the world of people, the world of events, the world of culture, he controls it. The world of music, he controls it, including the church music. The world of education, he controls it. The world of government, he controls it. The world of wars, he controls it. The world of presidents, he controls it. The world of premiers, he controls it. The world of the houses of government, he controls them. Everything. Pharmaceuticals, he controls them. Whether it's a good one or a bad one, he controls it. So that's why it's best not to have pharmaceuticals if you can get away without it. Use natural products. He's the ruler of authority in the air above us. Now, all those demons up there are invisible to us. How did they get there? Where did they come from? What spirits were they? Now, Satan had his following of demons. The story and interpretation and understanding we are given by churches, it's not Isaiah 14 or Ezekiel 28 that everybody is taught. That happens to be a Jewish story. I read that ages ago because it's not true. I have a video on it that tells the truth of the whole chapter. Had nothing to do with Satan. It was Nebuchadnezzar, a man, a demigod, a king who was regarded as their god, like the Caesars were. The truth of the matter is found in one of the books by Enoch, where he said, and God is speaking, He created Satan on the third day of creation with his followers. And it's rather ironical the way God speaks, that Satan actually had the nerve, if you like to put it in colloquial English, had the nerve to say to himself, I want to be as God. I will ascend up there and be like God. So God said, I cast him out of heaven, the third day of creation. He had followers. So he was cast down out of the place up there, closer to God. Now up in the air above us is where he is today, the sky. But there are other groups. There are the fallen angels. When we read Jude verse 6, we learn about the fallen angels that he quotes from the book of 1 Enoch. And it mentions how the messengers who did not uphold their own office but deserted their own places were judged by God. Now when I was reading the book of 1 Enoch for the first time, I noticed there were demons that created sickness. And what struck me was a demon would hit a woman with a miscarriage. It was quite a brutal way it is written. And I had had miscarriages. And looking back, yes, that explains it. So when they can do that, they can do anything to your body. I have been in evangelistic healing meetings where the preacher would say, you spirit of deafness, get out. Now I have a son who became deaf in one ear on account of the fact he'd had meningitis and the measles. And when he was a late teenager, he was prayed for in a meeting where the pastor was praying for the sick, and the pastor said to his father afterwards, oh, God really touched him. That same ear is still deaf. But you know what has happened and has been happening all these years? He can hear out of one ear so acutely, he can hear as well as anybody else from one room to the other. His only lack is if he turns that deaf ear to a person, it's a bit hard. Now, we live with him. We tested him. We know how acute his healing is. So that was a case of the demon of deafness disappearing. The deafness left him. The ear remained the same. It doesn't matter as long as you get healed. Jude speaks of angels who came down to earth and went after different flesh. That is, had sex with human women. There is a parallel account in 2 Peter 2, 4-8, and also Genesis 6, 1-4. When humankind began to increase on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, those associated with God saw that the human women were beautiful, and so they took wives for themselves from any they chose. The Nephilim were on the earth in those times, and also afterwards, when those associated with God were having sexual relations with the human women who gave birth to their children. They were the mighty heroes of ancient times, like Nimrod, the famous ones. The Septuagint, Philip of Alexandria, Josephus, Justin Martyr, Irenaeus, Athenagoras, Clement of Alexandria, Tertullian, Lactantius, Eusebius, Ambrose of Milan, Jerome, Sulpicius Severus, and Augustine of Hippo. They are all very, very well thought of and famous early church writers. They all identified the sons of God in the King James Version of Genesis 6, 1-4 with the angels who came to earth and had sex with human women. Now when you read the King James Version and other versions, in Job 1:6, it says that when the sons of God came together. But the word sons or children with a noun indicates an association with the noun and should be translated thus. It is clear that these are angels. Now there's something else about these fallen angels who are called the Watchers. Sodom and Gomorrah went after strange flesh, angels having sex with human women. And there are other books. Magic is associated with the Watchers. 2nd Enoch states that the people of Sodom committed abominable acts, child corruption, magic making, enchantments, and devilish witchcraft. Furthermore, it is accepted that Jude was heavily influenced by 1 Enoch, who states that 200 angels, or the Watchers, came to earth, lusted after human women, causing defilement and producing progeny. 1 Enoch states that the Watchers taught to humans, among other things, sorceries, enchantments, and the binding of enchantments. In relation to 2 Peter, this is what it says: God didn't spare the messengers who sinned, but handed them over to Tartarus with ropes of the underworld, gloom, where they are firmly held for judgment. They bred giants, the Nephilim, with women. Demons from the giants and the Nephilim are up there in the air. Even the Wesley and Methodists and Wesley himself and Clark recognise they were fallen angels up there. And God said in relation to the giants who died and their spirits lived on, they became demons to attack mankind as they did through the giants who lived on earth, who were even cannibals. So great are our enemies. Now Source says this: it is not flesh and blood that we have to wrestle to the ground and pin down. It's governments and authorities, powerful class of demon gods that inhabit this darkness in the sky and ever come against us. There is this comment, that they come against spiritual, that we are against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. And that says in Ephesians 2:2, the prince of the power of the air is up there. You went along with the authority of the ruler of the air, the ruler of the kingdom of the air. This was a cosmic occurrency, a cosmic occurrence. And where does cosmic come from? From the part of space that lies outside the earth and its atmosphere. I got that from dictionaries. The sky, or celestial dome, is everywhere that lies above the surface of the earth, including the atmosphere and outer space, and that occurs about 60 miles above the earth. So it is said. Now the King James Version of Ephesians 6:12 says, in high places in the heavens. Wesley, about heavenly things, says, fallen spirits, as in Jude. Gill, a Baptist commentator, says that in the aerial heavens above us, overlooking us, watching every advantage they can get over us. Doesn't it make you shiver? Should do. They're looking down at what we're doing and they're saying, ha ha ha, I can hop in here. And they do. In your family. In your life. They are waiting to take every advantage over us that they can. Don't you think that this can only be what the Bible's talking about? We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers in the heavenly places. King James Versions. The Ephesians, it might be mentioned, had sorcery, and this is from the book of Ephesians. In the book of Acts, we read how that in Ephesus, they burned their books. Don't you remember that story? When they got the gospel, the first thing they did was to burn their books on sorcery. Well, all the books didn't get burned. The sorcerers are still around. It's the ruler of the kingdom of the air up there. And we are always to be looking to be delivered from this present evil world. That's in another part of the epistle. We are to stay delivered from this present evil world. When one looks back in one's life, as a Christian, keen one, not perfect, Pentecostal, not perfect, one can say, yes, for sure, demons were interfering in my life over and over again, interfering in my ministry, causing me accidents and sicknesses, causing certain to be against me, that I'd have to turn tail and run home, which is what I should never have done. In the middle of a revival, can't move. So I said to my translator, I can't preach, can I? He should have said, yes, we'll pray and get you healed. He believed in healing. And I should have said, yes, I'm going to get healed. No, I went home. Once in Indonesia, years ago, I became lame. Now, looking on later, it was either from diarrhea medication or from the rats that ran over the plates that the servants washed at the back. I was lame. I still preached. I somehow or other got in the jeep, somehow or other got out of the jeep. Gill says they're in the aerial places above us, overlooking us, watching for every advantage they can take against us. We are to be always delivered, and stay delivered and endure to the end. That 200 angels, or the watchers, came to earth, lusted after human women, causing defilement and producing progeny.